Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we took the break, I was um, making mention of the fact that there's an increased demand and the time for council. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when we took the break, I was in the process of mentioning the fact that with the advent of the children law and the freedom of information law, as well as an uptick in litigation matters, including those of having to do with immigration appeals, there's an increase in demand and the time for council, as just about every public officer, jockey, if you will, for legal support. And Madam Speaker, we certainly don't mind that. We're not complaining. We certainly prefer that approach because it simply means that people, that officers are trying to ensure that their actions can withstand scrutiny. Now, Speaker, as a matter of fact, I think the section 19 of the Constitution, which makes it quite clear that the actions of public officers are supposed to be proportionate, procedurally fair, and also must provide reasons where required. So there's now a positive obligation on the part of public officers to ensure compliance with the Constitution, and including the whole issue of fairness, the right to be heard, and the provision of reasons. We certainly don't mind that, Madam Speaker. And what we do as a chamber as well is, in order to ensure that we ourselves are up to speed, we have occasional internal workshops, seminars, and so on, among ourselves, familiarize ourselves with the latest rulings coming out of Strasbourg and other court rulings, developments in the law of human rights, so that we, in turn, can impart that to public officers. So, Madam Speaker, in doing so, the lawyers in the chambers continue to work long hours and on weekends to meet this increase in demands. And we shall continue to persevere, largely behind the scenes as we prefer to do. And I wish to publicly thank all the staff in the various departments within the portfolio of the legal affairs for their continuing hard work and professionalism, Madam Speaker. I wish also to thank the Honorable Deputy Governor and his POX team for their continuing support in recognizing and supporting our staff, particularly in ensuring that their professionalism and competence, as well as their seniority, is acknowledged. Madam Speaker, we know how lawyers are. They're certainly they're civil servants, but they're lawyers and they have called to the bar, and they'd like to make sure that their seniority is recognized and maintained. So we've been working through the Deputy Governor's office together with POX to ensure that whilst we work within the existing framework, that where possible we do recognize and reflect those differences and professional differences as well. Madam Speaker, the Law Reform Commission, along with the commissioners, continue to provide invaluable service by actively reviewing and updating the various laws and thereby making them more fit for purpose. Laws, Madam Speaker, such as proposal to regulate timeshares, amendment to coroner's law, including to clarify the types of verdicts that may be given by a jury, modernization of the regulation of strata titles, bills, Madam Speaker, relating to family law reform, including the rights of spouses and maintenance, and the introduction of whistleblower protection legislation are about some of these legislation that are being worked on by the Law Reform Commission, Madam Speaker. We wish also to thank the Financial Services Legislative Council or Committee who continues to work with government, Madam Speaker, to modernize our financial services legislation. They are doing a superb job, as you heard alluded to by the Honorable Minister of Financial Services. I must say, Madam Speaker, have developed an excellent partnership in public-private sector law reform. There are areas clearly in which they, by virtue of their day-to-day work, enjoy greater competence in the working and understanding of some of these legislation. And we found a way rather, to work with them to fashion in these legislation and bring them to fruition. So I certainly like to publicly recognize their effort, Madam Speaker, and thank them for this continuing partnership with government. Madam Speaker, so too are the Legislative Drafting Department and the Law Revision Commission. Numerous bills have been dealt with by them, Madam Speaker. Indeed, I'm reminded that in this current year, some 64 bills, Madam Speaker, or more, have been dealt with by the Legislative Drafting Department. Now, to the uninitiated, it might appear not to be many, but those who understand how the legislation is drafted will appreciate that is a significant output during this period. And these are lawyers, these are drafters who have to attend meetings before the legislation is actually drafted, and go in conferences and various drafts, then discussion again, and before it gets to the stage where it is fit for purpose to be submitted to cabinet, certainly to caucus and then to cabinet, and then eventually to the Legislative Assembly. Madam Speaker, you heard the Minister for Financial Services mention about the difficulty in attracting and retaining, I would add, competent, qualified legislative drafters. Madam Speaker, there's a paucity, if I might put it that way. And Cayman Islands, I am confident in saying, is probably the only jurisdiction among the OTs that have been able to recruit and maintain the cadre and caliber of drafters that we have and staff. Madam Speaker, the other OTs, I'm aware, are struggling to retain, certainly to attract and then to retain them. Notwithstanding the fact that we have quite a good number and staff, Madam Speaker, there are always room for more. We have, in the past couple of months, managed to recruit 2 others, and the other work where we have not been able to recruit sufficient drafters, we have been able to deal with by way of consultancy, albeit some of it on a sort of remote basis, where we have persons offsite drafting legislation for us, working along with our persons here on the ground. And we're hoping that that will continue for a while until we get to the stage where we are at a comfort level. But for now, the arrangement is working, Madam Speaker, and we're hoping to continue that, especially with some of the more difficult, challenging pieces of legislation. So, Madam Speaker, once the laws have been amended, it is the duty of the Law Revision Commissioner to use his best endeavor to ensure that the law is available in a consolidated form. And so he continues to do a marvelous job in consolidating the various laws. And once they're approved by Cabinet and gazetted, they are posted on the relevant website in a timely manner by Ms. Christine Cook, who does so on behalf of the portfolio and the Judicial Department. Madam Speaker, those who have access to the government the Judicial and Legal website will notice that just about almost every other day, there's an update of laws and gazettes that are posted there. Ms. Christine Cook has been with us for a long time. She's our paralegal, and she has been doing a marvelous job, Madam Speaker, in following all of these updates in the law and making sure that the websites, both at the Judicial Department and the chambers of the Attorney General, as well as the DPP's office, are up to date. So if there's one place that anybody wants to look, to find the most up-to-date version of laws, is on those websites. And she doesn't fail in terms of getting them up there. So excellent job on her part. Madam Speaker, in wrapping up, I must say that there are also much needed reforms taking place within the Judicial Department and the Office of the DPP in order to, among other things, improve the criminal justice system and the administration of justice more generally, Madam Speaker. You heard about ongoing work in legal aid, but there are other initiatives including enhancing the video conferencing capability with locations overseas, and which, Madam Speaker, allows the Financial Services Division of our courts, for example, to deal with certain proceedings, primarily for interlocutory matters, and locally, Madam Speaker, to avoid having to truck large amount of prisoners from northward to Georgetown for mere 5 or 10 minutes remand. Madam Speaker, the technology have been put in place. The courtrooms have been appropriately wide, and so these matters can now be dealt with by way of video conferencing, Madam Speaker. And we are constantly looking at ways to improve on those. Madam Speaker, the government has also given its commitment for the provision of much needed additional court building, court facilities to ease the congestion at the current location. We all know, Madam Speaker, that is a long going, that's a constant issue that has been ongoing for years. And the current arrangement at the current facility is bursting at the seams. But, Madam Speaker, there is light at the end of the tunnel, certainly from what I've seen and the discussions that I'm privy to. The government has given its commitment, Madam Speaker, and is pursuing the matter with alacrity. And so, as the Chief Justice said at the last opening of the Grand Court, hope springs eternal. Madam Speaker, this time is for real. The court building. Thank you. And the truth is, Madam Speaker, that there is, for some reason, there seems to be an increase in the amount of traffic at the courts. And I looked at the cause list for this week. There are 9 judges on the Court of Appeal list. Sorry, the Grand Court list for this week. 9 sitting judges. That is more than a sort of 100% increase when I came here first. And in addition to that, there are magistrates' court, Madam Speaker. So it is clear to us that there is a need for additional facility. And I'm happy, Madam Speaker, to announce that the government is in fact addressing the matter. So, Madam Speaker, that brings me to the end of my contribution. I certainly once again like to congratulate all those who are involved in the preparation and delivery of the throne speech, the policy statement, and the budget address, Madam Speaker. They have done a marvelous job, and it is for us now to take on board all that has been said and is required to be done to give effect to the various initiatives outlined in those speeches, Madam Speaker. I do thank you. I do thank honorable members. Thank you.
I recognize the Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, tomorrow being Tuesday and Cabinet Day, I move the adjournment of this Honorable House until Wednesday, 27th of May at 10 a.m.
The question is that this Honorable House do now adjourn until 10 a.m. Wednesday, 27th day of May. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. Accordingly, this House now stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, the 27th day of May.